Hello, everyone. Myself, Professor Shivani Sharma, author of the book Communicative English, which is published under Vision Health Sciences Publishers. So this book is strictly according to the Indian Nursing Council syllabus. And from now onwards, we are going to have the audio and video lectures, which will be covering the whole content of the book through these lectures. And these lectures are going to be very short and concised so that the students are able to understand the concepts very easily, because it is not only that they are just reading it and grasping the concepts, but we feel at the Vision Health Sciences that when the lectures are given through this audio and visual representation, the grasping of the students is at a much better pace. So that is why from now onwards, we're going to start these concise lectures for all the students of the healthcare professionals and the nursing fraternity. So let's start our first lecture. So as per the syllabus presented by the Indian Nursing Council, the very first chapter is the communication. So communication is something which we are doing on a daily basis. Whenever we are talking with our peers, with our friends, with our family members, we are communicating with each other. And the very significant thing is when we're talking it in the perspective of the healthcare professionals. So we're going to start with this. Communication, my dear students, if we see what is the meaning of communication. So when any piece of information is being transferred from not only from one place to another, it is from one person to another person. That is basically the communication. And in communication, we all know that one person is giving the information, another person is at the receiving end, receiving the information, and the basic thing which is inside is the message. So in the whole communication process, we have to understand that we are conveying a piece of information from one place to another or from one person to another person. So let's try to understand this thing in a better way by understanding the basic process of communication. So here we can see that we are having a sender. Sender, we understand the person who is having that basic information which he wants to pass it to the other person. Now the sender may have the message in encoded form. Now what is this encoded form? Sometimes we are having the message in some codes, or like in computer form we have this different language. Or sometimes you may have seen in movies or somewhere that from like any secure piece of information when you're providing from one person to another person, and that information is coded. So why this coding is there? So that the information is being read or being understood by only that person who is the actual recipient. Nobody else will understand. So that is the basic meaning. So we are having a sender encoded message. Now this message has to be this message has to go to the receiver to understand the thing. Now the receiver has to decode the message. The message has to be decoded. So after decoding the message, the recipient is going to understand what was there in the whole information, what was that piece of information. Now generally, sometimes this process of communication, it can end up here. Sender gave the information and recipient received the information. But we really appreciate that when the feedback is also provided. So this feedback is important because this feedback tells us that information has been completely understood by the recipient. If we are acknowledging, that means that we have understood the way the sender wanted the information to be received. The recipient has received the same way and understood the information in the same way. Now, we want to focus mainly now the basic C's of communication. Now, there are the 7 C's. So, very first thing we can see is the clarity. Now, I want all of you to understand what are these 7 C's. You can really go through these things very easily, but the main thing you have to understand that what is the meaning of each C over here. The first thing is clear, clarity. Now, what does it mean? The message which we are giving from sender to the recipient, that message has to be clear. Clear in terms, sometimes the message can be ambiguous. It may carry different meanings. Once the sender is saying something, sometimes the words are used in such a way that the recipient may perceive the information in some other way. So that means the information may not be received by the recipient in a very clear way. So the information is lacking the concept over there. So we have to make it very clear as a sender. I have to see that the information which I'm giving is clear, not carrying any other meaning or double meaning. Move to the second point now. Concise, yes. So just try to understand this thing in such a way that you are telling something to your friend, okay? Some information you want to give, and you are just making a whole story of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and giving that information that what happened last night. Okay. Now, your friend may get bored of that thing. So what happens that you have to be very concisely giving that piece of information to the other one. This thing applies in the healthcare profession also. When you're trying to make the other person understand the patient's situation, if you are telling the whole story, then you are dissolving the main crux of that thing. So we have to understand this thing that the information has to be concise. But yes, students, we also have to understand in such a way. If you're saying that it has to be concise, but make this thing very sure that concise information doesn't mean that we are skipping some important things. So it should be concise. At the same time, the important things should not be skipped. Concrete. Now, what does the concrete things mean? See, when the information is given in very abstract way, okay, then it will not give you the proper information. Like, for example, if I'm saying you that come to my office at tomorrow, come to my office tomorrow. So this is a very concrete way of telling. It is not something which is very complete. So I have to tell it in a very concrete way that come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay, at which place, at which venue, the information has to be in a very concrete manner, not in just an abstract way, so that the exact information is being provided to the recipient of the information. All right. Correct. How can we make the information is correct? Whenever we are telling someone a piece of information, it can be in a way that you are talking. It can be in a way that you are writing. So whenever we are talking, we have to see that the pronunciation is in that way, it has to be correct so that the other person is able to understand the thing. If we are writing something, the grammatical errors we have to avoid. So the correct piece of information should be received by the other person. The message has to be coherent. Now, what is the meaning of coherent here? Okay, if I put in front, so this becomes incoherent. So the message, if it is not in a very logical sequence, if the message is not going in a flow, let's say that if you're reading something or if you're listening something, if you read a storybooks, how they make connection, you get so much grasped in that storybooks because there is a connection. It is going in a flow. That information is being received by you in a proper flow. So you're totally involved in that. So incoherent information means that it is not going in a flow. For example, if I'm saying you this thing, that the meeting was okay, I brought some snacks and I will mail. But this is some like broken pieces of information. But it has to go in a flow, in a logical sequence. Let's say if I'm saying the same thing, the meeting which was held today morning at 10 a.m. went well, though we ran short of a few snacks, and I will mail all the information by 12 p.m. So this is a coherent way of telling something in a logical sequence so that the other person is able to understand. The information is interpreted in a correct way. Complete. So complete means so that the word itself is telling us that we are not skipping anything, so that the receiver is not misunderstanding. There is very little scope of any confusion over here. So the information has to be complete in all aspects. It shouldn't be very detailed. It shouldn't be very brief. Completely telling the person what you intend to tell. What is your main intention in giving that message? So that is a complete. Now, lastly, the courteous. So what does this mean? It's not only when we are talking about the communicative English, I believe this courteous thing is really important in our daily lives. From the childhood, we always listen this thing, sorry, thank you, please. These are the magical words. So in our communication also, we should see that we are using these words. We are using this courteous tone in our communication. For example, if I'm asking someone in a very rude manner, why are you late? Okay, this is your everyday thing. But in other sense, like if I'm being very courteous, at that time I'm telling that I'm noticing that you are coming late on a daily basis. Is there something which you want to tell what is going on? So this is a courteous way to ask. And I feel in the second way, the person will be feeling more confident in telling you that why the person is coming late. So whether it is in writing or in speaking, we have to be courteous. So these are the basic 7 C's of effective communication, that we have to be clear in our communication. The communication has to be concise, not in circumstantiality. We are just roaming here and there and not coming to the exact piece of information. It has to be concrete, not in abstract manner. Correctly, the person should be able to interpret what we are trying to say. The message has to be coherent, not incoherent, going in a logical sequence. Now, all of us, we know that we are having certain categories of communication, right? We all know this thing. See, verbal. Verbal is something now. I am talking, okay? You are talking with your friend. The teacher is taking class of the students. So that is a verbal communication. In verbal communication, we can understand what the person is saying because it is verbal, as well as you are trying to understand the body language also if the person is standing in front of you face to face. Otherwise, telephonic communication is also sort of a verbal communication. There you have to understand the tone of the person. Then we are having this non-verbal communication. Now, students, if you see that in our mental health, if your first year, you will see in your future years, you will be studying mental health, that we are doing the mental status examination. In that, as a healthcare professionals, we are putting our more stress on the non-verbal cues of the person. We are seeing that how the patient is groomed, how the patient is behaving, whether the person is very aggressive, how the person is responding to your words. And in general communication, you might have observed this thing that if you are talking to your friend and your friend is just time and again looking at the watch, what does it mean? It means that the person is getting late for something, or the person is not very much interested into what you are communicating. So now you know that, okay, you have to now stop there. You have to cut short your communication. So we are understanding the communication through the non-verbal cues also. They are very important aspect of communication. We cannot skip them just by saying that they are not verbal. Written communication. Healthcare professionals, many a times, they communicate with each other through this written part of communication. You are writing the notes, you are trying to communicate about the patient's parameters to the other healthcare professionals. And again, we have to follow all the 7 C's, that the information which you're giving via written thing is also complete, telling the details. Okay, now what is the meaning of the visual communication? Visual, okay, you are seeing it, that is the visual. In your TV programs, in the news, I think you must have seen this thing, that if they're telling us about the weather report, they're telling that in the map there are certain areas which are going to get the heavy rainfall, or certain areas which are very densely populated. So that is what the visual interpretation you get. Just by seeing the thing visually, you are understanding. So these are the various parts of communication. Verbal, which we are talking. Non-verbal, which you are understanding from the person's cues, non-verbal cues, the facial expressions, how the person is standing, sitting, or behaving. The written communication, we are communicating via the letters, via electronic mails, via text messages, or in the hospitals with the reports. And lastly, the visual communication. So these are our main categories of communication. Let's see further. Now we have seen now in detail about what communication is. But there are certain barriers also which can hamper a good communication process. So as a healthcare professionals, we should see that what these barriers are and how we can stop these things in our communication so that we can talk with a peer, with our other healthcare professionals perfectly, so that there are no barriers in that. Let's see. The very first thing is the lack of attention. Okay. Sometimes a person may be sitting with us physically, but not mentally. Many times you see that when the teacher is taking the class, you are sitting over there. Physically you are present, but your mind is roaming somewhere else. You are just thinking that what you're going to do in the evening, where you're going to go, what you're going to have food now, in the lunch break, what you're going to do. So whatever the teacher is telling, you are sitting, you are listening to that, but you are not grasping that thing because attention is not there. So maybe you're able to understand the things only 20% because the main barrier, it is the lack of attention. So focus is not there. That is the barrier. Now, irrelevance to the receiver. I'm talking something, but there are certain people who are in the audience who are thinking that this is not relevant to them. So they will not be interested in properly listening also. So definitely that acts as a barrier. Whenever you are talking something with the group, you have to see that it is at that level. It is something which they really want to listen. Otherwise, they will not listen. And that becomes quite irrelevant to them. Now, use of jargons. So it is basically, I feel that for the healthcare professionals, when they are talking with the patients or the patient's relatives, they are trying to make them understand that about the condition of the patient or the various tests, investigations which are being conducted, and they're using some technical terms. The patient may not be able to understand what is this. Okay, so these type of jargons, they can induce fear in the patient. Okay, what type of test the doctor is telling, the healthcare professionals are telling, they might not have heard about those things before. So that can induce a sort of anxiety also. In general communication also, we always say that we should avoid these type of terminologies which are not understandable by the um, audience to which we are communicating. So as a healthcare professionals, we should avoid the jargons, the technical terms, so that your patients, your healthcare providers, they may be laymen. So we have to talk to them at their level because we have to make them more comfortable in that situation in which they are already very anxious about their patient's condition. Let's move to our fourth point. This is the difference in perception. Okay? Difference in perception can be about any of the topics. I am talking about spirituality. Now, I'm perceiving it in some way. You are perceiving it in some other way. So, there are the clash of thoughts. So, when the perceptions are different, it is acting as a barrier. Now, important thing is the emotional barrier. Let's say your teacher is taking the class, but you had a fight with your best friend. You are not attentive in the class. You had an argument while coming to the college with your family members, so you're emotionally upset. You are not able to pay that attention definitely because that thing is going on in your mind. So emotional, our psychology is controlling so much. So you have to be totally attentive. If your mind is not properly attentive, you'll not be able to grasp the things properly. So that is emotional barriers, which is affecting our communication process. Then we are having physical disabilities. Now, you may say that physical disability is something that the person is having some hearing problem, will not be able to hear what we are saying. But along with that, we can see that certain physical barriers also existing, not only the disabilities. Let's say the teacher is taking the class, you are attentive, you want to listen to the things, but there's a lot of noise. In adjacent class, the teacher is not there, sound is coming so much, you're not understanding. So much noise is there, or maybe the electricity went off suddenly, you started sweating, the atmosphere is not conducive for you to, have that healthy conversation. So all these things, physical behaviors or physical infrastructure also plays role in our proper understanding of the things in communication process. So that thing is also coming under your physical barriers. Now, the cultural differences. Um, that is also hampering our communication process. In one culture, you're perceiving one thing in a different way, but in other culture, that can be taken as very positive way. Let's say in one culture, you're saying that when you are talking to a person, you're having an eye contact. That means you're confident, you're building trust in the person. But in another culture, it may be interpreted in that, okay, you are having an eye contact, that means you're being rude. You are showing that disrespect. So that becomes a barrier in communication because you're being perceived in a different way. So that comes under the cultural differences. And definitely, lastly, the language difference is definitely there. If you're having a class where the students are speaking in Hindi, they are having that Punjabi language, they're having English, and like different languages they are speaking. So then you have to think that what is the common language in which they can understand the things so that there is no barrier in your teaching and learning activity. Now we need to understand why communication is really important for us as a healthcare professionals because we really want to identify what are the needs of our patients, and that can be done through communicating with the patient. Now, if you see that sometimes it used to feel that, okay, it is not important for the healthcare professionals to communicate this thing because we are having the reports of the patients, we are having all the investigations. So these things are there. So we can advise the patient what drugs have to be taken, and he can be, just take these drugs and can be fine. But no, the modern concept over here, it emphasizes that the health professionals have to work together with the patient. They have to collaborate. They have to understand what is the need of the patient, and that thing will be beneficial only when we are communicating with the patient effectively. Now, specifically coming to the communication in nursing, see, we feel that this is a field which is not having any end. Cure is having an end. So the physicians, they are trying to cure the patient. But the nurses, they are caring for the person. So caring is not having an end. So communication and effective communication is really important for the nurses. So we have to understand we are using simple language without any technical terms or words. And while communicating, when we are having an eye contact with the patients or with their relatives, it is considered as extremely important because it is building the trust with your patients that whatever you are saying, that is right. So they can confide in you, they can share the secrets with you. Now, as a healthcare professionals, what are our roles? Now, we have seen that there can be different types of communication. It can be verbal, it can be written, it can be non-verbal, it can be visual. When we are saying that what is our role as a listener, we are trying to understand what the other healthcare professional is telling us about the patient or how the patient is trying to tell us about his own condition. So we have to very empathetically listening to the patients at that time. Now, as a writer, as the healthcare professionals, as we discussed earlier, we are trying to write the things about the patient and communicate our findings to the other healthcare professionals. So that has to be written in a very clear and complete manner so that we are not missing any aspect and the other person can understand the things properly. And when that thing comes to us written by someone else, we are trying to read it and trying to get the intent of what the other person is trying to tell us via this written report. And then when we are trying to speak about the patient, again, the same principle we are following, we are giving the complete information in a very coherent way. So this is our role as a healthcare professionals when we are as a listener, when we are as a writer, as a reader, and as a speaker. Now, at the end, I would like to talk about the nursing process. In the nursing profession, we are caring about the patient basically through the nursing process. If you have not read about this thing yet, you will be very soon going through this thing, the first year students, at what nursing process is. This is a very integral part of the nurses when they're caring about the patient in the healthcare settings. So we are having these 5 aspects in our nursing process, and all these 5 components, they are, you see, that entirely depending on the effective communication. They're completely dependent on communication. So we cannot escape from the effective communication. See, first thing is the assessment. How you are assessing the patient. Assessment can be subjective or objective. You are trying to assess the needs of the patient. You're trying to assess what the patient is going through in this condition. So communication is going to play a big role for you to understand this thing. Based on your assessment, you make the nursing diagnosis. How you prepare the nursing diagnosis? It is through the information which you collected via communication, by looking at the patient, by looking at the nonverbal cues, by talking to the relatives. And then you prepared the diagnosis of the patient. And based on those diagnoses only, you are trying to plan the care of the patient. So the healthcare professionals, the nurses are not going to plan the care solely on their own. Definitely, we need to collaborate with the other healthcare professionals also. And for that collaboration, again, there's a need of communication. How you communicate the patient's needs to the other persons to seek their help. So after the planning thing, we are going to implement the strategies which you chose. Maybe you planned about the 10 things, but you're able to implement only 2 things. So you will seek the care, you will seek the help of the other healthcare professionals, and then you will implement the care which you thought of for taking care of the patient. And then lastly, you do the evaluation. So you evaluate that whatever care you have provided after assessing the needs of your patient, you planned it, you planned the care, you implemented that care, and now you're going to see whether that care was really effective. What is the outcome of that care? And that also sometimes you ask that how you're feeling now. You see the non-verbal cues of the patient, that whether the patient is feeling comfortable or not. So this is how we evaluate the care. So we can see that all these 5 steps, they require effective communication. So my dear students, in this chapter, we have tried to understand that why communication is really important. So when the Indian Nursing Council, they changed the syllabus, so they have tried to inculcate this communication. So that is why the name of the subject is Communicative English. They've tried to make it in that way that how the nurses, the healthcare professionals, they should actually communicate with the other professionals. They should actually communicate with the patients and their relatives so that they can give effective care. It is not only based on that how the grammar should be, what are the grammatical errors, what are the tenses. Okay, we learn about these things also. But we have to understand that how this English is going to be an integral part of our communication. So, thank you for listening patiently, and we'll see you soon with the next lecture.